10 places to visit in Egypt. Home of the ancient pharaohs, Egypt is a destination full of dazzling temples and tombs that wow all who visit. It's not all historic treasures and tourist attractions though. With vast tracts of desert for four-wheel drive adventures, the Red Sea's world-class coral reefs and wrecks for divers, and cruising on the famed Nile River, there are plenty of things to do in Egypt for all types of travelers. Beach lovers head to the Sinai or the Red Sea coast to soak up the sun, while archaeology fans will have a field day in Luxor. With so much to see and do, Egypt offers visitors a chance to create itineraries that combine culture, adventure, and relaxation all on one trip. Number 10. Alexandria. Alexandria has a history that not many others can match. Founded by Alexander the Great, home of Cleopatra, and a razzmatazz renegade city of the Mediterranean for much of its life, this seafront city has an appealing days-gone-by atmosphere that can't be beaten. Although today, there are few historic remnants of its illustrious past left to see, Alexandria's long seafront Corniche Road, leading to its fort, remains a favorite summer destination to capture cooling sea breezes for Egyptians and foreign visitors alike. Underwater archaeological projects here have imbued Alexandria's museums with interesting exhibits. The modern Bibliotheca Alexandrina is a contemporary interpretation of Alexandria's famed ancient library, and the handful of historic sites in town include an atmospheric catacomb site. Number 9. White Desert. Egypt's kookiest natural wonder is White Desert National Park, out in the Western Desert, just south of Bahariya Oasis. Here, surreally shaped chalk pinnacles and huge boulders loom over the desert plateau, creating a scene that looks like icebergs have found themselves stranded amid a landscape of sand. This highly scenic environment looks like something out of a science fiction movie and is a favorite destination for four-wheel drive desert trips and overnight camping, which are both easiest organized in Bahariya Oasis. For desert fans and adventurers, this is the ultimate weird playground, while anybody who's had their fill of temples and tombs will enjoy this spectacular natural scenery. Number 8. Saqqara. Everyone's heard of Giza's pyramids, but they're not the only pyramids Egypt has up its sleeve. Day-tripping distance from Cairo, Saqqara is a vast necropolis of tombs and pyramids that was utilized during every era of pharaonic rule. It's best known for its Old Kingdom Step Pyramid, which shows how the architects of ancient Egypt advanced their engineering knowledge to finally create a true pyramid shape. There's much more to see beyond the Step Pyramid though, with some of the surrounding tombs, such as the Mastaba of Tea, showcasing some of the finest tomb paintings you'll see in the country. Nearby, the pyramid site of Dashir is home to the Red Pyramid and Bent Pyramid, which should be included on any Saqqara visit. Number 7. Siwa Oasis. Sitting in isolation in the western corner of the Western Desert, Siwa is a tranquil tonic to the hustle of Egypt's cities. This gorgeous little oasis, surrounded by date palm plantations and numerous hot water springs, is one of the Western Desert's most picturesque spots. Siwa town is centered around the ruins of a vast mud brick citadel known as the Fortress of Shali, which dominates the view, while various temple remnants, including the Temple of the Oracle, where Alexander the Great is said to have come to receive advice, are scattered throughout the wider oasis area. This is a top spot to wind down and go slow for a few days, as well as being an excellent base from which to plan adventures into the surrounding desert. Number 6. Abydos Temple. The Temple of Osiris in Abydos is one of ancient Egypt's most fascinating artistic treasures. The temple, begun by Seti I, sits amid a vast necropolis site where archaeological excavations are ongoing. There are various other temple remnants to see here, but for most visitors, the Temple of Osiris is the main reason to visit. Its hypostyle halls, graced by papyrus-headed columns, contain some of the finest relief work in Egypt, with various scenes portraying the pharaoh and the gods of ancient Egypt. As the temple lies north of Luxor, it's on the main Nile cruise ship route, so it receives much fewer visitors than the temple sites in Luxor itself and the Nile-sided temples to the south. This means you're often lucky enough to wander through the temple halls with only a few other visitors on site. Number 5. Abu Simbel. Even in a country festooned with temples, Abu Simbel is something special. This is Ramses II's greatest temple, adorned with colossal statuary standing guard outside, and with an interior sumptuously decorated with wall paintings. Justly famous for its megalithic proportions, Abu Simbel is also known for the incredible engineering feat carried out by UNESCO in the 1960s, which saw the entire temple move from its original setting to save it from disappearing under the rising water of the Aswan Dam. Today, exploring Abu Simbel is just as much about admiring the triumph of this international effort to save the temple complex as it is about gaping in wonder at Ramses II's awe-inspiring building works itself. Number 4. Aswan. Egypt's most tranquil town is Aswan, set upon the winding curves of the Nile. Backed by orange-hued dunes, this is the perfect place to stop and unwind for a few days and soak up the chilled-out atmosphere. Take the river ferry across the Elephantine Island and stroll the colorful streets of the Nubian villages. Then ride a camel to the desert monastery of Saint Simeon on Aswan's east bank. Afterwards, relax in one of the riverboat restaurants while watching the lateen-sailed feluccas drift past. Egypt's most tranquil town is Aswan, set upon the winding curves of the Nile. Backed by orange-hued dunes, this is the perfect place to stop and unwind for a few days and soak up the chilled-out atmosphere. Number 3. Cairo. This dusty capital city is one of the most sprawling cities on Earth, home to more than 17 million people. Built on the banks of the Nile River, Cairo is a medieval Islamic city with an eternally hazy horizon and beige-colored buildings topped by TV satellites. Built near the ancient capital of Memphis, modern Cairo is a popular starting point for cruises up the Nile and for explorations of the pyramids at Giza, just outside the city limits. But there's so much to do within this enormous city itself. At the world-renowned Egyptian Museum at Tahrir Square, visitors can get a close-up view of the treasures of Tutankhamun, as well as mummies and other artifacts from Egypt's ancient past. The city's most historic mosques are worth a visit as well, dating back to the 9th century when the Fatimids made the city their capital. Number 2. Luxor's temples. Famed for the Valley of the Kings, Karnak Temple, and the Memorial Temple of Hatshepsut, the Nile-side town of Luxor in Upper Egypt has a glut of tourist attractions. This is ancient Thebes, power base of the New Kingdom Pharaohs, and home to more sights than most can see on one visit. Luxor's east bank is home to the modern city, with its vibrant souk, the two temples of Karnak and Luxor, and the museum. The West Bank's lush farmland and barren cliffs are where the vast majority of Luxor's tourist attractions sit, with so many tomb and temple sites that it has been called the biggest open-air museum in the world. Spend a few days here exploring the colorful wall art of the tombs and gazing in awe at the colossal columns in the temples, and you'll see why Luxor continues to fascinate historians and archaeologists. Number 1. Pyramids of Giza. The last surviving wonder of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Pyramids of Giza are one of the world's most recognizable landmarks. Having awed travelers down through the ages, these tombs of the pharaohs, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, guarded by the enigmatic Sphinx, are usually top most visitors' lists of tourist attractions to see in Egypt and often the first site they head to after landing. Today, sitting on the desert edge of Cairo's sprawl, these megalithic memorials to dead pharaohs are still as wondrous a sight as they ever were, and an undeniable highlight of any Egypt trip. If you happen to be staying close to Giza overnight, don't miss the pyramid's sound and light show. It's exactly what it sounds like, but it's a great way to appreciate the Great Pyramid a little differently.